Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
Edmund Kemper was nicknamed the co-ed killer, as most of his non-familial victims were female college students hitchhiking in the vicinity of Santa Cruz County, California. Most of his murders included necrophilia, decapitation, and dismemberment. Join us this week as we cover his peculiar case. Welcome to True Crime Capital. Brace yourself for this one. It is not for the faint heart.
His mother would lock him in the basement room at night because she had this idea that he could possibly sexually assault his sisters.
Edmund Emil Kemper III was born on December 18, 1948 in Burbank, California. He was in the middle of 3 children and only son born to Clarnell Elizabeth Kemper, Edmund Emil Kemper Jr., weighing 13 pounds. As a newborn, Kemper was a head taller than his peers by the age of 4. Early on, he exhibited antisocial behavior such as cruelty to animals. At the age of 10, he buried a pet cat alive, then dug it up, decapitated it, and mounted its head on a spike. Kemper later stated that he derived pleasure from successfully lying to his family about killing the cat. At the age of 13, he killed another family cat when he perceived it to be favoring his younger sister, Allen Lee Kemper, over him. He kept pieces of it in his closet until his mother found them. Edmund had a close relationship with his father and was notably devastated when his parents separated in 1957 and divorced in 1961. He was sent to live with his mother, Clarnell, in Helena, Montana. Kemper had a severely dysfunctional relationship with his mother, a neurotic, domineering alcoholic who frequently belittled, humiliated, and abused him. At the age of 14, Edmund ran away from home in an attempt to reconcile with his father in Van Nuys, California. Once there, Kemper learned that his father had remarried and now had a stepson. Edmund stayed with his father for a short while until the elder Kemper sent him to live with his paternal grandparents, who lived on a ranch in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada on Road 224, about 2 miles west of the town of North Fork. Kemper hated living in North Fork. He described his grandfather as senile and said that his grandmother was constantly emasculating him and his grandfather. On August 27, 1964, at the age of 15, Edmund was sitting at the kitchen table with his grandmother, Maude Matilda Kemper, when they argued. Enraged, Kemper stormed off and retrieved a rifle that his grandfather had given him for hunting. He then re-entered the kitchen and fatally shot her in the head before firing twice more into her back. His grandmother's last words reportedly were, "Oh, you'd better not be shooting the birds again." When Edmund's grandfather, Edmund Emil Kemper Sr., returned from grocery shopping, Edmund went outside and fatally shot him in the driveway next to his car. He was unsure of what to do next, so he phoned his mother, who told him to contact the local police. Edmund did so and waited to be taken into custody. After his arrest, Edmund said that he just wanted to see what it felt like to kill Grandma, and testified that he killed his grandfather, so he would not have to find out that his wife was dead because he would be angry with Edmund for what he'd done. Psychiatrist Donald Lund, who interviewed Edmund, wrote, "In his way, he had avenged the rejection of both his father and his mother. Kemper's crimes were deemed incomprehensible for a 15-year-old to commit, and court psychiatrists diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia. He was sent to Atascadero State Hospital, a maximum security facility in San Luis Obispo County that houses mentally ill convicts. On December 18, 1969, his 21st birthday, Kemper was released on parole from Atascadero. While staying with his mother, Edmund attended community college in accordance with his parole requirements and had hoped to become a police officer, though he was rejected because of his size. At the time of his release from Atascadero, Kemper stood 6 feet 9 inches, 2.6 meters tall, which led to his nickname. Big Ed Edmund worked a series of menial jobs before gaining employment with the State of California Division of Highways. When he had saved enough money, Kemper moved out to live with a friend in Alameda. The same year that he began working for the Highway Division, Edmund was hit by a car while riding a motorcycle that he had recently purchased. His arm was badly injured in the crash, and he received a $15,000, equivalent to $100,000 in 2024, settlement in the civil suit he filed against the car's driver. As he was driving around in the 1969 Ford Galaxy he bought with part of his settlement money, he noticed a large number of young women hitchhiking and began storing plastic bags, knives, blankets, and handcuffs in his car. He first picked up young women hitchhiking and then peacefully let them go. This was before he felt homicidal sexual urges, which he called his little zapples, and which he would later begin to act on. At times, he blamed the women he killed for hitchhiking, which he said was flaunting in my face the fact that they could do any damn thing they wanted, and that society is as screwed up as it is. Between May 1972 and April 1973, Kemper killed 8 people. He would pick up female students who were hitchhiking and take them to isolated areas where he would shoot, stab, smother, or strangle them. He would then take their bodies back to his home, where he decapitated them, performed irumatio on their severed heads, had sexual intercourse with their corpses, and then dismembered them. The following are his victims: Mary Ann Pesce and Anita Lucchesa. 2 18-year-old hitchhiking students from Fresno State University were lured with the pretense of taking them to Stanford University. After driving for an hour, he managed to reach a secluded wooded area near Alameda, with which he was familiar from his work at the highway department. Without alerting his passengers that he had changed directions from where they wanted to go, he handcuffed Pesce and locked Lucchesa in the trunk, then stabbed and strangled Pesce to death, subsequently killing Lucchesa in a similar manner, Ikoku. A 15-year-old dance student had decided to hitchhike to a dance class after missing her bus. He again drove her to a remote area. He proceeded to choke her unconscious.
The child will pursue these violent fantasies, and in adolescence, the sexual element will come on board, and they will have sexual fantasies that develop along the lines of using people as an object rather than a partner. They want to do something to somebody, not with somebody.
Cindy Shaw. On January 7, 1973, Edmund, who had moved back in with his mother, was driving around the Cabrillo College campus when he picked up 18-year-old student Cynthia Ann Cindy Shaw. He drove to a wooded area and fatally shot her with a .22 caliber pistol.
With most of them, he would actually have intercourse with the dead woman. He would have sex with her entire body, then sometimes also with the decapitated body. And then sometimes he would have oral sex with the decapitated head.
Rosalind Thorpe and Allison Liu. On February 5, 1973, students had been advised to accept rides only from cars with university stickers on them. Edmund was able to obtain a sticker, as his mother worked at UCSC. He separately encountered 23-year-old Rosalind Heather Thorpe and then 20-year-old Allison Liu on the UCSC campus. Shortly thereafter, Kemper slowed his vehicle. He shot Thorpe in the head with a .22 pistol. He then turned toward Liu as she cowered and squirmed in the backseat of his car. His first 2 shots missed the terrified girl, although his third bullet hit her in the temple. Next, what he does to his mother will make you sick to your stomach. Clarnell, Kemper, Strandberg, and Sally Hallett. On April 20th, 1973, Edmund was awakened by his mother, Clarnell Strandberg, coming home from a party. While sitting in her bed reading a book, she noticed Edmund enter her room and said to him, "I suppose you're going to want to sit up all night and talk now?" Edmund replied, "No, good night." He waited for her to fall asleep, then he snuck back into her room to bludgeon her with a claw hammer and slit her throat with a penknife. Edmund then beheaded her and humiliated her corpse, as stated in a 1984 interview. Kemper stated that he put her head on a shelf and screamed at it for an hour, threw darts at it, and, ultimately, smashed her face. He also cut out her tongue and larynx and put them in the garbage disposal. However, the garbage disposal could not break down the tough vocal cords and ejected the tissue back into the sink. That seemed appropriate, as much as she'd bitched and screamed and yelled at me over so many years, Edmund later said. Edmund hid his mother's corpse in a closet and went to drink at a nearby bar. Upon his return, he invited his mother's best friend, 59-year-old Sarah Taylor, Sally Hallett, over to the house to have dinner and watch a movie. When Hallett arrived, Edmund strangled her to death. He subsequently put Hallett's corpse in a closet, obscured any outward signs of a disturbance, and left a note to the police. It read, 5:15 a.m. Saturday. No need for her to suffer any more at the hands of this horrible, murderous butcher. It was quick, asleep, the way I wanted it. Not sloppy and incomplete, gents. Just a lack of time. I got things to do. Afterward, Edmund fled the scene. He drove non-stop to Pueblo, Colorado. After not hearing any news on the radio about the murders of his mother and Halette when he arrived in Pueblo, he found a phone booth and called the police. He confessed to the murders of his mother and Halette, but the police did not take his call seriously and told him to call back at a later time. Several hours later, Edmund called again, asking to speak to an officer he personally knew. He confessed to that officer of killing his mother and Halette, then waited for the police to arrive and take him into custody. Upon his capture, Edmund also confessed to the murders of the 6 students. On November 8, 1973, the 6-man, 6-woman jury deliberated for 5 hours before declaring Edmund sane and guilty on all counts. He asked for the death penalty, requesting death by torture. However, with a moratorium placed on capital punishment by the Supreme Court of California, he instead received 7 years to life for each count, with these terms to be served concurrently. Edmund was first eligible for parole in 1979. He was denied parole that year, as well as at parole hearings in 1980, 1981, and 1982. He subsequently waived his right to a hearing in 1985. He was denied parole in 1988. He was denied parole again in 1991 and 1994. He then waived his right to a hearing in 1997 and 2002. He attended the next hearing in 2007, where he was again denied parole. Kemper waived his right to a hearing again in 2012. He was denied parole in 2017 and is next eligible for parole in 2024. He will be turning 76 years old. It's crazy that he is still alive, hey? Edmund went rogue and transformed into an adult serial killer. What do you think of the crimes of Edmund Kemper? Check out our video of the most evil child killers, which features Kemper. We will also list it in the description box. Let us continue the conversation in the comments section below. Until next time, stay safe out there.